Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. We have a guest today joining myself and Francis. Francis, they know you're from Scotland.
Shit, I thought it was a guest. Okay. My bad.
Coach Nick from BBallBreakdown. We kind of teased this earlier in the week, a little bit last week too. But quite exciting to have you on, man. Seriously, it's we're fans of the channel, and we urge everyone obviously to go over to BBallBreakdown for what would it be, Francis?
Basketball breakdown, and then some tactical knowledge, which I love. By the way, I talk a lot of tactics, soccer-wise, and it's good to see that kind of transcending over to basketball. I was going to try my hand at it. I was going to whip out the iPad and get you to demonstrate some stuff on it, but
hey, I could do that. Now, soccer is very similar, same shape, court, and a lot of the same kind of concepts. In fact, I want to do a video on that too, where we compare a lot of the way you attack on the court.
We will absolutely do that. I tell Jason that quite a lot because I've watched basketball for a while now, but it's people. Well, the same thing they'll do with soccer and a lot of sports is they'll make it seem so complicated, right? It's not the NFL. There's not a million different plays that you can draw up on one different thing. It's very simple. There's a similar objective in all sports. In soccer and basketball, the reason I make comparisons on videos, which our audience will tell me every single time, oh, can you stop bringing up soccer? There's a reason, because it's very similar. We've been setting screens in soccer for years as well. The same thing with basketball, do it. And I think that would be a fantastic video on how some of the players like Steph Curry and Messi, there's a reason why there's a comparison there, because they're very similar in the way they utilize the court and the field to their advantage and their fellow players. So tease that video, and I'm sure the audience will be happy to see that.
Has been teased.
It has been teased. But what are we here for, Jay?
We're here for the Timberwolves in this clip because the Minnesota Timberwolves going into next season have a plethora of young talent, a new coach in Tom Thibodeau, a defensive specialist coach. Kris Dunn looked pretty strong in Summer League until he kind of had the concussion protocol go against him. So he was unable to play out most of the rest of Summer League, but his 2 games, he was a highlight reel. Can't take, again, too much from Summer League. It is the only sample size we have of him at the professional level, though. Ricky Rubio situation. Let's get to the Timberwolves roster, though, because let's not forget the 2 guys at the bottom of the roster for some reason really should be up top. Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins took a step forward last year, and Karl-Anthony Towns dominated the Rookie of the Year voting. And, of course, we have, with the rest of the team, Ricky Rubio's the question mark. Georgie Dang, Kris Dunn. We've kind of been over this. Zach LaVine, Tyus Jones. I can read off the whole roster. But the point here is new coach, new system, competitive Western Conference, right? But when we look at young talent, a lot of people want to talk about the Bucks in the Eastern Conference. I think it's the Timberwolves in the Western Conference that should be really the one to pinpoint and focus, because if there's a team that can make a run for the 5, 6, 7 seed next season, it could be the Timberwolves. I'm curious your thoughts going into next year, Coach Nick over here, because Karl-Anthony Towns is a franchise player and Wiggins could be a franchise scorer. What else needs to go on around that team to make it work?
Well, you know, if you want to start with Karl-Anthony Towns to begin with, it's an interesting thing. He doesn't really have a position in my mind. He really isn't a center. He is sort of a playmaker at a very tall size, you know. Right. And so they're going to be, you know, really competitive to start with. Now, the issue when you're talking about were they going to move up or not is, well, who has to move down in the West to let them in that position? True. So, you know, as far as Wiggins, I'm a little bit concerned with his motor. I feel like too often you see him hang his head, jog back down, when he could be the first guy back down and making defensive plays. So that is worrisome, and I wonder if they go through enough film and show him that, because that would be a simple thing. Like, look, you can see it over and over again. Maybe if there was a channel that actually broke these things down and did it, maybe he would see it. I don't know. But, you know, so that's an interesting thing. Now, Rubio I love, and even though he doesn't shoot well, he's a really great defender, a really great floor, controller of the action. Absolutely. So they have all the elements. They have a really good coach in Thibodeau who is going to get them, you know, playing really good no-middle defense and not giving up open threes. And so they're going to make a big jump. There's no question.
So what I love about that is, for one, people have a misconception of Ricky Rubio. And if you follow Reddit threads and forums enough, you'd find that Ricky Rubio, on-court, off-court, plus minus, his whole team is better by almost 1.5 points. And then by the points per possessions, at least points per 100 possessions, they are better with Rubio on the court than they are with any other point guard on the court. Now, we don't know what Kris Dunn is capable of at that level just yet, but outside of the injuries, he is a needed asset to that team. And he's also, like, just because he's injured, he's not on the court, doesn't mean he's not there in practice. He's not there helping that team move along. He's a gifted passer, and we know that.
Well, I think from you saw the Summer League, right? You had
we both did.
Were you there as well? Also, well, it's a very small insight, right, into what we are going to experience. But I described it on one of our clips as it allows you to see a very similar level to college athletes, right? So what they've already performed in. So Kris Dunn, I watched pretty close at Providence. He's a good acquisition. I think he's one of the best at draft picks that we can see come into a team like the Timberwolves, and I think it's a perfect fit for him. They do a very good job of allowing young talent to develop, and I absolutely agree. And I wanted to pose this question to you about Karl-Anthony Towns. In no way is he at the same level as I look at a LeBron James, but when I look at LeBron James, I don't see a position for LeBron James either. Like LeBron James often will take up the role and he'll come and play point guard and he'll allow Kyrie to move into a certain position. How did the Timberwolves look to get the best out of someone like Karl-Anthony Towns? Because he is an obscene talent, and as you mentioned, you don't see him positionally stick to one area of the court. How did they get the most out of him, and what sort of players can they bring in to allow for someone like him, or the players that they already have? How does someone like him continue to develop and be their go-to guy?
Well, I don't think you have to go very far, because if you look back at when Kevin Love played with the Timberwolves, I think that's the role they're going to have for him, where he gets to play a lot of high post and a lot of cutting around him. Then he can fly out to the three-point line to shoot there, and he could probably create a little bit off the dribble in that situation as well, better than Kevin Love ever could have done either. So that is a really exciting thing, and it's a challenge because you have 4 other guys he has to exist around. How do you get him enough of those touches? We've seen Thibodeau run triangle. I did a breakdown not long ago where in Chicago, I would say about 20 to 25% of his half-court possessions were triangle offense. It'd be perfect for him. He could post up. If he doesn't get it there, he can fly out to the corner for the kick-out 3. He can move up to the wing and attack from there. So I think that's what we're going to see. He's going to be very hard to guard because he's going to be everywhere and playing every position. Heck, maybe they'll give him some pick and rolls where they'll screen for him and he'll be able to attack.
Right, the Timberwolves pick and roll usage last year was amongst the lowest of the at least the Western Conference. I'm not sure what it was, at least according to the whole NBA. You make the good point, though, Coach, because when you look at it that way with the triangle, if they do implement 25% of the triangle offense, they have the personnel to shoot the 3 ball when that ball comes out, when it kicks out. They have the personnel to, I mean, again, we do like to make bold predictions.
We always make.
And I'm not going to sit here and say the Timberwolves are going to surprise all you because Karl-Anthony Towns is going to have an MVP season in his second year. He almost made the All-NBA third team, just for the record, as a rookie.
Yeah.
As a rookie. But again, one player isn't enough. And again, I do like the idea. I used to think that an immature version of me thought Tibbs was somebody who would run his players into the ground.
Well,
given what we saw with the Bulls and some of the injuries and just the amount, like he's the opposite of Popovich in the minutes management kind of way. You're going to get your 40-minute workout today and you're going to put it all on the court. That could be something that has a major effect. So I guess the last question for this clip would be, if the T-Wolves find a way into the 6, I'm going to safely assume the Warriors will be up there as the 1.
What gives you that sort of inclination?
Something about a Kevin Durant joining the team. It's with them already being one of the best teams in the league. I don't want to count out the Thunder with Russell Westbrook there. Of course, the Clippers, when they stay healthy, that's 3 teams. After that, the Spurs, of course.
Spurs, of course.
So those are your 4. The Blazers impressed last year. No reason why they couldn't make the 5. After that, is it up for grabs?
I think it's all up for grabs, except for maybe number 1. I mean, the Blazers improved, so they're there as well. They could move up to maybe one of those spots. We don't know exactly what the Spurs are going to be like. Pau Gasol is a guy who I just rip endlessly for his defense, and I don't know if Pop is going to be able to handle if he's playing in the pick and roll, how well that's going to work for them, because it's really not good. So we'll have to see, because we don't know how all that's going to space out. Will the Clippers continue to be good or not? Are they going to trade Blake Griffin in the middle of the year when they realize it's not going to get them where they need to go? So I don't know. I think there's a lot of room, and I'll throw this out there. Coach Thibodeau had a Bulls team with a very young player that wasn't as heralded as we thought, and ended up having an MVP year under him.
That's true.
And he certainly, that's a very similar situation to where we are now.
And then we fast forward 5 years. And he's on the New York Knicks.
There's been phenomenal coaches out there that have found it so hard to break down Golden State Warriors. And when you're playing in a conference like the Western Conference, when you have so many efficient scorers, which goes so far in every position in the Western Conference, I think that the Timberwolves have added that necessity along with great coaching. Because I do like Kris Dunn coming in, and I think that Thibodeau, with the likes of Dunn in that position, could be a perfect fit to help get the most out of him as well.
Like I said, when it came to the draft, Tibbs was drooling when he saw the NBA-ready body of Kris Dunn, defensive specialist out of Providence. And I'm sure you remember Kris Dunn out of Providence, freshman year to senior year. Very different player. And it's great to see his development. But it's going to be a fun year for the Timberwolves. They were the League Pass MVP last year. because that team was fun as long as you got Zach LaVine throwing down alley-oops. And this year, they mean business. Everything we just laid out for you in the clip. Make sure you comment below, like, favorite, subscribe to the video. It goes a long way. Please go over to BBallBreakdown and give Coach Nick a like, a favorite, a subscribe, a follow on Twitter. All of the links are in the description box below. You can find them over there. We'll see you next time.